I've come to really appreciate the Beatitudes in my own life and reflection. A lot of times they're proclaimed at funerals, and I have the opportunity to reflect on how God promises a certain level of fulfillment here and now as we are converted to Him, and so much more is promised to come. So I'll say over and over again, in 2 of those Beatitudes that the fulfillment is here and now, and in 6 or 7, depending on how you count, they are in the life to come. So it's a good reflection in that way. But underneath all of them, at the heart of the Beatitudes, which really are not just a new set of commandments, they're really conditions under which the fulfillment of God's plan is manifest within us. So when we are poor in spirit, the kingdom of heaven is ours, and on down through the line. When we mourn, So, in all of those things, there is a condition that is rewarded with the fulfillment and blessedness and good fortune that Jesus promises. But all of the readings that we hear this weekend are all just rife with the theme of humility. In our first reading, it just says plainly, seek humility. In St. Paul's letter, it speaks of, how not many of those leaders or those Christians at all in the community were of any, worthy standing in the world's eyes, but they were found worthy in God's eyes. And so, then we look at the rest of the Beatitudes, and there's all this sense of lowliness or brokenness or, whatever it is. It's certainly rife with humility. And when that humility is the condition in which we find ourselves, that all of this all of the fulfillment of God's promise comes to us here and now and along the way. I spent a lot of time grappling, even this very day, with not only the readings, but the psalms that the church prescribes for some of the songs at Mass. So the entrance chant and the communion chant. So the church prescribes Psalm 31, and there's an element of it that it reminds me of Good Friday. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, why church? Why church did you name Psalm 31 on this particular day? And it just hit me. Like, it's all about the cross. Our humility is rooted in the example of Jesus to, come down from His glory and enter into the lowly condition that the Father blesses and transforms and bestows upon Jesus in the resurrection, in the life to come. So in us too, when we allow the grace of God to give us the motivation, to allow our hearts to be changed, to submit to a lowly condition, the Lord fills us with so much. When we know at the heart of everything, at the depth of humility, that we can't provide any of these things on our own, but we are totally dependent on Him, and when we find ourselves in an awareness of our emptiness, of our lack, of our wanting, and we surrender that to Him, we're sharing with Jesus in His humility on the cross, and ultimately providing a space for Him to fill up with His grace and His blessing, His good fortune, His blessedness, as He promises in these Beatitudes. And knowing at the heart of it is that humility, following His example, we give ourselves space to be filled with the grace of Christ. So again, not just a commandment. You can't force these things on someone. You can't legislate love in that sense, and you can't legislate the Beatitudes, but to be open to a condition of lowliness and humility through which God fills you with every grace and blessing.